Parshas Bamidbar, Chamishi. The Aliyah opens up by telling us that Hashem told Moshe now to do a special count of Shevet Levi themselves. And this time the count should be everybody in Shevet Levi from 1 month old and up. And Moshe said to Hashem, how am I supposed to do that? That's not tznius, that's not modest, to count the babies that are nursing during this time. And Hashem said, not a problem. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to go stand outside of each tent. And as you're standing by that tent, there will be a bas kol that comes out and tells you how many infants there are specifically in that tent. And that's what the pasuk means when it said that they were counted al pi Hashem, specifically by the mouth of Hashem. The psukim then go on to tell us that the children of Levi were Gershon, Kahas, and Merari. And then it zeroes in on each one individually. When it comes to Gershon, it tells us how many people were in that particular shevet, and then it tells us where exactly they camped around the Mishkan. Gershon was to the west of the Mishkan, and it tells us that their job was to deal specifically with the roof of the Mishkan, dealing with the panels, the hides that were used to make up the actual roof of the Mishkan. They were in charge of the curtains and the ropes, all of these specific things that were used in the building of the Mishkan. Then the psukim go on to talk about Kahas. It tells us that the number of people in the Shevet of Kahas, and it tells us that they lived on the south side of the Mishkan. And the psukim tell us that their charge was dealing with the Aron, dealing with the Shulchan, the Menorah, the Mizbeach, all of the Kalim that were going to be used in the service of the Mishkan. Then the psukim go on to tell us about Merari and how they lived on the north side of the Mishkan and how their job was to be in charge of the krushim, of the planks of the Mishkan, as well as bars, pillars, all of the pegs, the sockets, and tons of utensils that were used in the construction of the Mishkan. Now, after that, the psukim tell us in the innermost area, right in the front of the Mishkan, is where Moshe and Aaron and his sons camped. And the psukim tell us once again that area was so kadosh, that area was so holy, that any zar, anybody who was not from Shevet Levi that would approach that area would actually have to die. That's how much kedusha there was in that specific spot. Now what's interesting is that Rashi tells us that right next to where Kahas was camping is where Shevet Ruvain camped. And we know the unfortunate situation that happened with the children of Kahas, with Korach, and the Rashi tells us that Oy l'Rasha, Oy l'Shcheno, that because Ruvain was right next to Korach and to the entire camp of Kahas, they were negatively influenced, and as a result, there was tragedy that took place with them as well. However, Rashi tells us that when it came to Moshe and Aaron, right next to them was the Machane of Yehuda, where Yisachar and Zvulun were, and it says, Tov l'tzadik, Tov l'shcheno, that those who encamped right next to Moshe and Aaron were privy to being neighbors with them, and that good influence rubbed off on them, and ultimately they became tremendous Talmidei Chachamim.